Hey,
fucking snap
hey,
those
you
goddamn
don't got
fingers.
permission to snaps yet.
It's the week of launch. We
You
have to
lied
snap. We
to
have
me.
to snap.
You said only next week.
next week. I
You
know.
Goddamn.
But it's the week of when
Charlie,
this goes
I-
live. It'll be 2 days
I find
away.
it funny that you're just realizing now that Joe is filled with lies and deceit.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I live my life.
What is funny to me is that you are the only one getting this thing.
I know, right? Isn't it
Yeah.
like? Oh god.
You.
Let me get through.
Not
it,
even
Doug.
Tom.
Not even Tom.
I mean,
Even Tom had the sense to get something better.
I have to be fucking honest. I'm not buying one. It's financially responsible. I settled on that. That was my final choice. But there was a 2-day period where I was dead set on waiting at a store at 5 o'clock in the
I
morning.
bet. Yeah,
to pick one
I
up.
was thinking. I'm like, there's no. There is still a 40-60 chance, 60% you're not, but 40% of
No.
me believes you are going to be online.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I can't do. I have to go.
No.
I have to go to Vegas in June. I need money for that. I can't do it.
I don't know. I don't trust you.
I don't know.
Well, we will have a lot more Switch talk this week and next
I need
week.
that. I need
and
that money
forever.
for strippers, gambling, and alcohol.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if that overrides Nintendo's
Can the
control on you.
Nintendo Switch give me any of those things?
You
Yes.
don't know. It hasn't been released yet.
That's true. That's true.
You
Anything's
don't know what's in
possible.
that day one update.
We'll see where that charts on Pornhub's most viewed devices.
Anyways, this is Podcast Demastered, our weekly video game podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and the voices you've been hearing are Charlie
That is me.
and Tom.
You guys ever just have a really good cookie and it kind of makes your day a little bit better?
I don't know if it makes my entire day. It might make that moment a little better.
Just like a really good cookie, like
a
not
chocolate
too
chip?
I'm talking chocolate chip here. Not too hard, not too soft. It's hot, so the chips are still a little melted.
See,
It just makes your day go a little better. It's not too big, so you don't get too full when you eat it. It's like the perfect size. I had a really good
I've
cookie
just never been
today.
a cookie
was really
person,
happy about
so-
it.
I enjoy cookies.
I used to
but,
like the ones we got in school.
Oh well, that was
Years
Well,
ago?
those were straight up cookie dough.
Yeah,
that
it
was
folded
disturbing.
into the form of a
Yeah.
cookie.
Yeah, those were disturbing to say the least.
Yeah.
You guys know the story of my friend freshman year bought 100 cookies.
Yeah, and then
and fucking caused almost what was a riot in the lunchroom.
yeah, and then Miss
He had upset the cookie to student ratio.
who was it? I'm not gonna say her name, but Miss Principal took them
yeah.
away. I remember that.
Well, no. The students all ripped them away because like he bought the case of 100 cookies, came back to the lunch table, and everyone was like, because it's
Wait, they gave him.
they gave him a
tray.
fucking box of just cookies because he paid for 100 of them. What were they? 50
Well,
cents each, I
yeah.
think. So he spent $50 on fucking cookies. And they fucking he walks over to the table and everyone in the cafeteria is just going fucking nuts because everyone just reaching, grabbing cookies out, and
Yeah.
he was just buying them mainly like one as a joke, you
Yeah.
know, whatever fucking weird version of a joke this is, but then also. Like he didn't mean to start everyone just come and grab them. He was going
Man,
to give them out to
our-
people throughout the day, but not.
Our high school is fucked. Do you remember freshman year when we had the what was that really important bio exam you had to take, the state required one?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, before that, I went to the Smart Water machine or Vitamin Water, and I got the pink one, which is what I always get. I got one of them. 6 came out. So I'm walking around with 6 of them. Fucking these vultures are coming up to me. Yo, man, can I get one? Yo, man, can I get one of those?
Had anything people fucking wanted it.
Fucking vultures, man. Let me tell you. High school,
don't,
high school is terrible.
We didn't play that many games this week.
No.
You guys couldn't tell.
I played an electronic video game entertainment device.
Yeah, I was going to start with you. You seem to play one this week you really liked.
Yeah, no, I fucking loved it. So I was late to the party with this one. Titanfall 2 is on sale on PSN for like $23. So
Okay, I was
just
wondering
said-
why you got it randomly, but
Yeah, it was
makes
It was
sense.
$23. It was part of their Critics' Choice sale, and I was like, "Fuck!" I hear really good things about this. I've put it off for so long. I should probably buy it. So I bought it, and I beat the campaign in one sitting in the span of like 5 hours.
Yeah.
That campaign, I know, like it was said a lot when it came out. And I thought it was a lot of hyperbole at first, but after playing it and beating it, I have to admit that campaign, from a pacing point, from a gameplay perspective, is one of the best single player shooter campaigns I've ever played in my entire life.
It was super refreshing, and I think
Yeah.
that was the best part about it.
I mean, like, it has nothing to do. I don't look in the same way like I'd look at like Half-Life 2, which told this great story. I look in this almost the same sense that I looked at Doom, but even I might even hold this a little higher than Doom, because the best thing about Titanfall 2's campaign is that you're always doing something cool. In every mission, I can't think of one mission in that game that I didn't like what I was doing, that was boring or I wasn't having fun, because they changed it up constantly and the game is paced expertly. And the campaign lasts for just the right amount of length.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Sorry, I had to send a text while you're talking. But yeah, no, that game was fucking awesome. And I think the only reason we actually even played it was because of Stu from Total Babble was tweeting us about it. And it was the weekend before I built my PC, so I kind of was just waiting.
Still got to play these dumb old baby games.
Yeah, still got to play this dumb console game.
In 1080p.
Yeah. And
you have a 1080p monitor.
My stupid mind was like, "Well, this game looks really good. I bet if I played it on PC, I'd be like, this game is phenomenal." Now that game is trash. Now, but yeah, my favorite thing was like just the way they kept freshening up the levels.
Yeah, like it's always, and I feel like it's a statute of limitation for spoilers open. Can I talk about spoilers?
We can talk about level stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Even the main story.
All right. Yeah. All right. So if you are really worried, for like the next 2 to 3 minutes, we're gonna talk about spoilers.
Also, if you are really worried and you haven't played it, you're part of the problem because that game didn't sell well. Also, I am because I rented it.
I'm gonna talk about Titanfall 2 spoilers.
I think I rented it too.
Yeah, we're bad.
Just so many memorable levels. Like it opens and you're like, okay, this is cool. I like what I'm doing. The running mechanics feel great. Shooting felt great, and you're like, this is cool. And then you get to the second level, the warehouse where they're building the test houses.
Yes.
And that's where you realize this game is just going to keep throwing cool shit at you, because that part is cool on its own where you're running through the conveyor belt and you have to keep up with it. But then when you get to the part where it drops you in the neighborhood is on an angle, that messed with my head for such a long time, where it's really simple if you think about it, because it's just a big wall with platforms. Mm-hmm. But because you're looking at a street side neighborhood, like think something like Nuketown, basically sideways like Inception, it completely messes with your perspective. It took me way longer to get through that than it should have, because I wasn't thinking of it as a wall. I was thinking of it as my character is stuck at this weird angle and I'm upside down. And then after that, you go to the, I don't remember the name of the place.
The abandoned station, right?
Yeah, you get the Ark, but that introduces the coolest shooter mechanic I have ever seen. Not even just shooter mechanic, gameplay mechanic. You get the time travel watch. And the second that prompt comes up on screen, because before that, you're like juddering in and out, going through these disturbances. You're like, oh, this is really neat. But then when it says hit L1 to time travel, you're like, fuck. And then the things that the game does with that mechanic are just so expert, where you're in the middle of a firefight in the present, fighting the dogs, and you're like, fuck, I'm about to die. So you go back in time, and you're then at a point where you're fighting soldiers in the past, but then you see a soldier, like a guy in a heavy outfit. So you time travel back to the future, and when you time travel back to the future, the present, it'll show like an echo of where the guy was in the past.
Yeah.
And you go behind them, and then you fucking time travel back to the past and melee them. It almost felt like what Quantum Break should have played like, with those time travel mechanics, where you are just like zooming around the battlefield and fucking knocking people out. I mean, the rest of the game is so cool. So like, I was a little disappointed when they took it away from you, but you still got a lot of cool shit. So it wasn't that bad. But I want a whole game centered around the time travel watch, because that was fucking awesome. That was so creative and so fresh, and just speaks to the rest of the game, this game's campaign, that was just creative and fresh. And I wouldn't expect any less coming from the people who made Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Another cool thing I want to just draw attention to is the sear kit at the end.
Yeah, that was really
because
awesome.
For the whole game, you're like, okay, Titanfall 1 had the smart gun. Haven't seen the smart gun at all. Where the hell is the smart gun? And then when BT gets blown up and he says, take my chassis, and you open it up and the smart gun's in there, and you just fucking mow through an entire level worth of people.
It was so satisfying.
It was really paying homage to like how fucking ridiculous that gun was.
It was such a satisfying and like just empowering feeling. Another really cool thing in that campaign, which I found myself doing a lot more than I thought I would, is the gauntlet in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Just trying to refine your time down. Like I've been going back to that constantly because there's a trophy tied to it. And I have a route in my head that I do, but it's still not refined to the point that I can get it in under 40 seconds. But I've gotten close. But I like that even that one section in the game, that one small tutorial section, just keeps you coming back because there's a leaderboard. Mm-hmm. Because there's cool shit to do. And even in that level, there's a hidden secret. There's a hidden EMP launcher if you do some crazy dumb platforming shit by the shooting range.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Which makes that run a little bit easier. I've also been playing a ton of the multiplayer. That multiplayer is phenomenal. It had been a bit since I played the first Titanfall, but I forgot how much I like the movement and just that flow in multiplayer. It just feels great and it feels satisfying. And it's not often that I get into multiplayer games. Like I play them. I play Battlefield, I play Battlefront. But I feel like the last one I got really super into was Halo 5, and I played that for like a year straight. This has easily become, or I can see this easily becoming like the next Halo 5 for me, where I just keep going back to it and I keep playing it. And it's one of the few shooters that I'm good at. Like I'm consistently at the top of my leaderboard in the mode I play, which is Amped Hardpoint, which is just an expansion of Hardpoint from the first game. But the other modes are great too. Attrition is always fun. There's one I don't like, which is like almost a SWAT type mode. And I got thrown into it by accident because I didn't realize that it was on like a mixtape kind of playlist where it kept throwing you into different games. And you can kind of narrow that down to what you want to play. But it threw me into one of those, didn't know what I had to do, got killed, then had to watch the rest of the match. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm not doing that. It was the same reason I didn't like SWAT in Halo 5.
You just got to get good.
I'm not good.
I'm quoting Joe. I feel like that's something you would say.
Yeah, probably. Because I love the SWAT game
too.
modes in Halo.
That's my go-to.
They're so satisfying.
No, I'm not good. I feel like I'm decent in Titanfall, though. I don't know. But like, I feel like there's a lot less pressure in Hardpoint where when you die, you can just come back. And then you get there's so many moments where you just get a satisfying kill without even realizing that you did it, or just because of like split second timing or thought, not even something you try to do. Like I killed 2 people while wall running, and it was fucking awesome. I didn't even realize I did it until I saw the replay, and it was like, oh shit, that's so cool. But yeah, I've been enjoying the hell out of that. One thing that's slightly hampered my enjoyment, however, is recently, so I read a thread on GAF, and this is like 3 days into me playing, and it was like, yeah, for some reason I can't launch Titanfall multiplayer on my PS4 Pro without it crashing. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That doesn't happen to me. Right after I read that, tried again to Imagine Titanfall 2. Crash. Same thing happened to me, and it hasn't been fixed yet. I can't go back to multiplayer. It's been like 1 day now. And I really want
the PS4 Pro is too powerful.
I really want to get back to that because it's just so much fun. And while we're talking about the Pro, very nice looking game on PS4 Pro. It doesn't have HDR, but it does run in 1800. But everything just looks nice. Character models look a little funky. Character models look a little PS3 360-ish, but like just the environments, the colors, everything pops, and it's a really nice looking game. But I'm almost ashamed that I slept on this when it first came out, because this is just a phenomenal fucking game, and I would suggest it to anyone who likes first-person shooters, who kind of misses the days where shooters were doing new, like, cool, crazy shit instead of all trying to copy each other. Like, this game is just so original.
I think...
I can't wait to see what they do, hopefully, what they do for a third Titanfall.
Yeah, I think from Titanfall 2 to maybe Resident Evil 7, all of the games that released in that window were like happy accidents.
Yeah.
Like they should have been fucking terrible, and they were all really, really good.
I would not have ever in a million years expected this game to be as fucking amazing as it is.
I expected to be kind of sick of it like as soon as I finished the first level, but it was just kind of fun to play all the time.
And you just kept like, and that's a great thing about how well paced that campaign is that, like I said, I did it in one sitting because you just want to keep going. You want to see what the next thing they're going to throw at you is. But yeah, it's a really cool game. I've also been in the process of rewatching the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay.
But it's very slow for me because we were talking about this before. It takes a lot to get me to watch something. So I did part 1 of Fellowship like a month ago. And then 3 weeks later, I finally finished part 2 of Fellowship.
Okay.
And then like a day later, I did part 1 of Two Towers. That was 2 weeks ago. I've yet to start part 2 yet of Two Towers.
I mean, you just gotta know what you're in for. I mean, especially if you've seen them as many times as you have.
Oh no, I love watching them.
No,
but
I'm not saying like, that. It's just like, like fucking
like,
putting the disc in or picking it on your playback of choice. Like, fuck.
You have to, you just have to be like mentally prep for it. Those movies are still fucking great. One thing you do notice though, especially I'm watching the Blu-ray edition, and I don't know if this has to do with the TV I'm watching it, but I feel like a lot of the dated effects are much more noticeable.
Well, of course.
Than they ever were. Like you notice the digitization around actors when they're on basically a green screen with a CGI background and CGI orcs and trolls around them.
That's just a consequence of watching 16-year-old
CGI.
You notice
we're getting there now.
In a resolution they didn't think was possible at the time.
When they show the battle scenes, you notice the same soldier repeated over and over again.
You weren't supposed to see that. It's kind of like when music got to a point where the quality was so high you couldn't fuck up anymore because people could hear it. It's kind of like you can now see that fucking shit that you wouldn't see before. And then the scenes where,
especially where it cuts to Legolas doing his dumb superhero shit, he just turns into a PS2 cutscene character.
Like in Harry Potter.
Or Harry Potter or the first Spider-Man movie.
It's really bad.
It's really bad. It's really funny. Those movies are still fucking endearing though.
Yeah.
That being said, the CG characters like Gollum and the trolls, like those actually still look pretty convincing. Kind of like if you go back and watch the first Jurassic Park, like those CG dinosaurs still look all right. But yeah, that's really it for me this week. Not a lot of gaming, but I really like what I did play.
Charlie, you said you didn't play much.
I didn't play much. I actually loaded up Resident Evil 4 at a friend's house.
Oh, okay.
And I played through like the first half hour of that game. Which I got to the first little town, the first little area. I got the shotgun and
like, kill the chainsaw dude.
It's like it's 3 a.m. I should probably go home.
Have you ever? How much of the game have you ever?
Resident Evil 4 before?
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've played it on like a billion things.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you'd played it before.
No, I was the one who was the first time playing it last August when it came out. That was my first time, so maybe you're thinking of that.
I've been meaning to get back to that. It's been years since I played that game. Not since PS2.
It looks like a fucking PS2 game.
I imagine it does. But
what
that
they have
game,
it on?
It was on PS4.
Oh, okay. So that version.
It's sharp,
but it still looks dated.
But it's fuck yeah.
But that game for its time, like when I first saw that running, that had the Gears of War effect that Gears of War would have like years later, where is like one of the most amazing things you've ever seen because there's so much detail on Leon Kennedy and there's detail in the environment. Even it looks pixely and digitized as fuck on my PS2. Like, still impressive.
Yeah. It actually made me want to play. It made me really want to play Evil Within because I never finished it. I got to the fucking safe head guy, and I kept dying.
Yeah.
And I gave up and I traded the game in.
I really like that game.
Yeah, with Evil Within.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah,
I really
never played
it.
It's fun. You could actually follow that guy's like last 3 major games between Resident Evil and then like not a lot of people played it, but I personally loved it. Was Shadows of the Damned.
Did you ever see the original idea behind Shadow of the Damned before EA was prominent on Make This a Shooter?
No.
So the original concept was you started out as a guy who was naked.
Okay.
You had no weapons, only a torch.
Okay.
And you would slowly find detective clothes, and the more detective clothes you found, the better of a detective you became. And eventually, at some point, you did get a gun, but for most of the game, you're just like this half-naked detective, like finding more clothes to better your detective skills. And EA took one look at that and said, it's 2010, add a fucking gun.
Yeah, based on what you just described, that doesn't sound.
They'd have to sell that game with like an Adderall pill because of the what are they going to pay attention to?
Just because of the personality I thought that game had, like that doesn't sound like anything like what it ended up being. That game ended on a cliffhanger too, and I still want my sequel.
Probably not going to see that.
Never going to happen.
You got Lollipop Chainsaw. It's fun.
Yeah, Joe, you got Lollipop, which I kind of remember you liking.
You were fucking hyped.
I was ready for that.
To be fair, it was probably the boobs.
Yeah. Well, no, it was because Suda51
will get you every time.
And the guy who did Resident Evil 4 and Evil Within.
Oh, Shinji Mikami.
Yeah. So they both worked on that together.
Uh-huh.
And then Grasshopper Studios was making Lollipop Chainsaw, and because I love Shadows of the Damned so much, I was like, fuck it, I'm on board with this. And then the game came out. It was all right. It was just way too linear, and the combos weren't crazy. Where I found Jessica Negri, by the way.
Yeah, I was good.
She won a cosplay contest for IGN, and that's
so just like his
noticed
porn.
Her.
There's a distinct difference between what she does and porn. It's pretty close.
It's close. It's not porn.
It's not a big divide.
Joe says as he's watching the Pokemon porn parody, it's not porn, it's cosplay.
Oh, man. Anything else, sir?
I don't know, Joe. You tell me.
Oh, I don't know. I played the Resident Evil 7 DLC this week.
Oh, how'd
the
that
first
go?
batch. So I've got the banned footage volume 1. So that comes with 3 game modes. It's Ethan Must Die, Nightmare mode, and the bedroom. So the bedroom. I'll start with the bedroom because I played through that first. The bedroom is essentially just one big puzzle.
Okay.
You wake up, you're the guy from the videotape in the beginning of the game.
Clancy?
Clancy. You're playing as Clancy. And Margarita's locked, like
handcuffed people behind doors and things of that nature.
Yeah, handcuffed you, and basically he's trying to make you eat the food so you kind of turn into what they are. So you play as Clancy, and you can get out, and you have to figure out how to get out of the room. But if you make too much noise, Margaret would start coming back. So then you have to put everything back in the room the way it was. Otherwise, she'll notice that you were fucking around.
That's cool.
And she'll kill you. So yeah, it's basically solving a huge puzzle. It was really cool. About like 30 minutes probably took me to actually beat.
Is it scary?
It was not scary, but very tense.
Yeah.
Because at first you're not really sure if me moving around quickly makes noise. And what you quickly find out is that certain events make the noise.
Okay.
And usually in those events is after you have a bunch of stuff like moved all over the room, and then it comes with a countdown, and each time it goes to a countdown, it's less and less time.
It tells you when she's coming back?
Yeah, it'll count down and be like, you have 45 seconds to get all this shit back to place because the fucking clock you just opened fucking rang as soon as you opened the door.
Okay.
So basically the whole point is to escape out of the room. It's the upstairs bedroom where, remember where you turn the clock hand and the bed shifts over?
Yeah.
So you're in that
it's
bedroom.
Grandma's room,
Yeah,
right?
Grandma's room, yeah.
Where the scaries happen.
Yes. So the whole point is to get the bed open so you can get down. It was cool. Like I said, very short though. So it was nothing like too crazy about it. The mode I really like though is Nightmare mode, which is...
Is it this game's version of Mercenaries?
No, it feels almost like a Nazi zombies type of game mode.
Okay.
Where you play as it's actually kind of the continuation after the bedroom of Clancy getting into the basement. You're now locked in the basement. You can't get out.
I hate that basement.
Yeah. But now okay.
Fuck.
What, Joe? Something. So I felt something in my mouth. I didn't like it. So anyways, this nightmare game mode is kind of like you start off, you have like gear you could spend money, you have like gear that you can use to buy stuff, right? So you or currency, I guess I should say currency. I think the currency is called something like gear, that's why I'm saying that. So you have this currency, you buy stuff, so you buy immediately, you want to buy a gun, shotgun, health. And then these compactors, which you start, and they will start pumping out currency for you, and it builds up over time. And basically, you're kind of like, first it's in a small part of the basement, and you're just trying to survive, kill the enemies. You can spend your currency on tripwires, on like mounted turrets, and eventually what you do is you die. Like you're gonna die. It's a survive till dawn type thing. So you die, and it gives you a score. Then based on that score, it unlocks more stuff for you to unlock or buy or use.
Okay.
And it's basically making each progression better. So there's rounds. So each round is supposed to be like an hour, even though not like real time hour, like in game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's all fighting the molded, and it's actually probably my favorite game mode out of this DLC. And it's kind of a shame it wasn't just an extra game mode in the fucking game.
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
It's weird
though.
because like
it sounds like Horde.
It almost is, but you're like by yourself. And so anyways, you constantly want to keep playing it because your scores combine. So you get like my overall score is like 500,000 right now. So I've unlocked the Magnum I can now buy. I've unlocked gas floor traps that slow down enemies.
Okay.
I've unlocked the flamethrower and like shit like that. Eventually you can start unlocking like the Albert pistol and like even stronger stuff like that.
Okay.
As you get way more points.
I could see them having some fun with that. Maybe if they do decide to expand on it, where they take stuff from Resident Evil as a whole, like maybe they put you in the Raccoon City Police Department from RE2, or maybe they put you in part of the house from Resident Evil 1, and
there's a lot.
They throw some different enemies at you, like maybe some zombies or some lickers or hunters. That'd be pretty cool.
Like there is a lot of cool stuff. I would love to see this mode kind of expanded to the entirety of the house. Yeah. Kind of like you start off, you're in one section, and then you buy the corrosive thing to get through the door to unlock, so you make your area bigger, basically so you can try and survive longer. And the more areas you unlock, the more compactors there are, which means you can get more currency, which means you can buy more stuff, which means you survive longer. The thing I really love about this is the fact that I've played through Resident Evil 7 like 4 or 5 times, or like 4.5 maybe, and Jack became so I became so numb to the villains because I got so powerful that I can basically just fuck them up anytime I even saw them.
Wait, you play as Jack?
No.
Did you mean Ethan?
Jack just became a non-problem by his
I become so numb to him because he's because take out the Albert and you fucking put him down in 2 shots even on the hardest difficulty. This made me horrified of Jack because at the end of each round it's usually either kill all the enemies or kill Jack.
Okay.
And when you have no fucking like ammunition and anything, Jack is scary again, and all I hear is like I'm playing.
Welcome to the family.
It's something like it was like you thought you'd be part of this family. I'm like, oh my god, he's here. Like I was just like, holy shit, I was not prepared to fight him, and like it was fun because it actually made him scary again, and in a way that I kind of lost in the main game just by me playing it so many times. And the last one was Ethan Must Die. Honestly, it's not my favorite. It's very dark. And the mission objective is to get the key to the greenhouse to go kill Marguerite. And you play as Ethan, but all your the only supplies you can get is in crates, and you have to destroy the crate, and it's all randomized. So you could get a really good pistol, you could get gunpowder, and to me, it's the weakest mode. I feel.
So what's the actual objective?
You to go through the house. You start in the backyard. You need to get to the greenhouse where Marguerite is.
Okay.
But the gate's locked, so you can't get there yet. So you have to go into the main house, which is slightly altered in design. So it's not exactly the layout you remember.
Okay.
Or there's stuff blocking it, so you can't just go like. Remember when you enter from the back door, you would go immediately left, but now you kind of have to go around the whole room to get around, and the enemies are way stronger. Some of the boxes are rigged, so they just explode when you get them.
I figured they would do that.
There's no save states or anything. It's an all right game mode. I personally like the nightmare mode where it feels more like Horde. I'd rather feel that because I feel like there's actual progression there. Where Ethan Must Die is really just
a cranked difficulty,
and remembering like remembering the motions and the patterns of the enemies and stuff. So it's really all right. Like I don't know. I'm not buying the second one yet. I'm gonna wait till at least a free DLC comes out with Redfield coming out. Capcom has now talked about it, so it's not really a spoiler thing anymore, I feel. Yeah. And then the other thing was, so yesterday I wasn't feeling that well, so I ended up watching a lot of like Netflix and stuff. Watched 3 movies yesterday.
Okay.
Which is funny because you talk about watching being struggle. To me, it was just like, all right, I'll put this on. One, I know you guys won't care, but it was actually really good. It's called The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. Former wrestler.
Okay. I figured it was going to be wrestler, but like, what?
Former wrestler, it's a documentary.
So in this movie, is it about Jake, who is a snake Roberts, suffering an unfortunate accident? He was just slithering around the Everglades where he got chomped up by a gator. But miraculously, inside the belly of the gator, life was given to him anew, and he grew human hands and grew out of the alligator. But he still had a snake head. Is that how this movie, is that the progression of Jake the Snake Roberts?
No, he became a drug addict and a drunk.
So same basic thing.
Yeah, and became 350 pounds. And it's about him doing, working with DDP, who is another former wrestler, and getting into shape and everything. If you like wrestling, it's or just inspirational, like documentary type things, it's definitely worth watching. The other movie I watched, I'll talk about Hot Tub Time Machine 2. First,
okay.
So I love the first Hot Tub Time Machine. I think it's really funny, like genuinely funny. Hot Tub Time Machine 2 is like the bad type of funny, where you're watching it and you know it's actually just a bad movie, but you continue to watch it. And it got to the point where I thought it was so bad, I started laughing out loud, like at the jokes. And I'm like, I think I'm finding this funnier than it actually should be right now. But yeah, if you like the first one, don't watch the second one. It's really not worth it. But the movie I actually wanted to talk about was called, and this is why I needed to look it up because I wanted to make sure I read the whole title wrong. Right. I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It is a movie starring Elijah Wood and Melanie Linsky, who played Rose on 2.5 Men.
Never watched that show.
I like 2.5 Men. But yeah, it's a really weird movie where she gets robbed, and then it's about and the cops really won't do anything because they're like, oh, you left your door unlocked probably. How are we going to track who robbed you? Like, it's kind of a lost cause. If you have renter's insurance, maybe that's how you get your stuff back. Or able to rebuy your stuff.
Yeah.
But like some personal stuff was stolen, so she wants to get it back. So it's about her and Elijah Wood, who's her neighbor, who just kind of like just start this like mini adventure to kind of get her stuff back. And it's really weird. Movie gets really fucked up real fucking quick. Like people losing limbs and shit like that.
Okay.
It just comes out of nowhere too. Elijah Wood plays a little badass with shurikens. Like he's just fucking throwing them at people. Like he's sticking inside of people's faces. It's a weird fucking movie. I saw people talk about it highly on Twitter. So yesterday when I was kind of just like not wanting to get out of bed, I was like, all right, I'll watch this.
Did you see the trailer for Bright?
Will Smith's movie, right?
Will Smith?
Yes.
Fucking Netflix movie.
That also looks weird as fuck.
Modern day cop fighting elves and dwarves, and
What?
they have to find a magic wand. You have to watch the trailer for this. It looks fucking awesome.
It is a he was on the Game Over Greg. It's a Max Landis script.
Okay.
Yeah. Which if you know him, kind of explains why it's so fucking weird. Also, Netflix just bought a Martin Scorsese film.
That's interesting. You can just buy a movie like that.
You remember when
they bought the script for it, so they can make.
Do you remember when Max Landis wrote that Pokemon script?
Yes, but they're not making that.
No, we're getting Detective Pikachu instead.
Yeah, we're getting Detective Pikachu. Yeah,
that hit American brand that's totally out in the States.
God, Max Landis is an odd man.
I don't think I've ever seen.
He's been on the Game Over Greggy show. If you actually watch the YouTube clips, he had rainbow hair for a while.
He wrote Chronicle.
I didn't
even see Chronicle. I heard it was great though.
Yeah,
it was all right.
There's a movie I saw last summer that I really liked, or 2 summers ago now. I can't remember what it was, but it starred Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart.
American something. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. I tend to actually end up liking his stuff. But we'll take a little break. We'll come back with the news. Hey guys, it's your host Joe. Thanks for checking out the show this week. If you haven't already, head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. We love to hear from you. Send an email to podcastdemastered@gmail.com with any comments or questions. We may even discuss your email live on the show. To stay up to date, follow us on Twitter @DemasterCast. For our live streams, you can go to twitch.tv/podcastdemastered. And lastly, our video content can be found at youtube.com/podcastdemasteredshow. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, and we are back with some news.
Welcome back to the Big Boy Show with all the big boys and the big baby boys.
This is a carryover from our
Baby
break
Tom
conversation.
with Big Baby Joe and Diaper Butts Charlie.
Aww. All right, we have 5 news items to talk about. One of them I forgot to write down.
Did you get the one I sent you?
That's the 5th one I forgot to write down.
Wow, fuck you. I guess that shows my worth here.
To be fair, I fell asleep for like an hour and a half that I was not expecting to today, so probably would have forgotten anyway, but I meant to include it. But we're going out of order. I want to start with 2 of the smaller stories, and we'll get into the 3 I feel like bigger ones. PSVR apparently selling pretty well.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah. Their Sony kept saying their goal was to sell 1 million in the first by the end of their fiscal year, essentially. So in their first 6 months of being on the market. Apparently, as of February 15th, they reached 915,000 units.
Not bad.
Which probably makes it the most successful VR headset.
By a country mile. Yeah. But you also have to remember this is way more broadly available to people because you don't have to have like a fucking you don't have to have a $1,000 machine to run this. While we're on this, I'm starting to see a lot more of them at work. There was a span where we had absolutely nothing, but now we're consistently I'm seeing like 2, 3 on the shelves.
Are you seeing people like pick them up too?
Yeah. My friend bought one.
Because I know, like for a while, the rumor was that between Oculus and Vive, it was just a couple 100,000 like combined. So it was interesting to see one kind of take off, and it was the one we kind of expected to take off.
It's just the most commercialized.
Yeah, the one like
in terms of like product and price.
Yeah, granted, you don't see a lot of commercials for PlayStation VR, but that's better than the no commercials you see for Vive. And,
but I still think
Oculus.
enough people know about it that it's widely available enough that people can show it to their families. The people who don't play games are like, wow, that's really cool. And then when they get a PS4 and they have some disposable income and they see it, they're like, oh, fuck, maybe I should pick that up. I think that's how this thing is going to spread out, is through the non-gamer, kind of similar to the Wii, because I think people are showing this to mom and grandma and, the uncles. People don't traditionally play video games.
Yeah. There's actually, I watched the opening monologue of the DICE Awards last Thursday night. It's an award. It's like kind of like the fancy award show for games.
It's the one that matters.
Yeah, basically. Like if you're in the business, that's the one you kind of really want. It's because it's voted on by your peers. And the reason I watched is because Greg Miller and Jessica Chobot were the people hosting, so they were doing the opening monologue. I heard the guy who wrote the jokes for Greg Miller is Mike Drucker, who used to work on Up at Noon and is now doing other things. But one of the jokes they made on there, which is actually my favorite one, was they were talking about, oh yeah, this was a huge year for VR. Sony launched PlayStation VR. HTC launched the Vive, and ZeniMax just got Oculus.
That's pretty.
No, it was pretty good. The other thing is they keep talking about. I see a lot of people talking about with the PlayStation VR is the fact that now they're kind of waiting for that second wave of games to be announced or hit. So it'll be interesting to see if because if you look on the marketplace, there seems to be at least every 2 weeks there seems to be like a small game coming out. Obviously, you had Resident Evil 7 over a month ago.
Psychonauts, Rhombus of Ruin just came out.
Yeah, that one just came out.
Actually, I watched a review for that. That actually seems really neat.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good. But now it's going to be interesting to see how much time they put into it at E3 or something like E3 of what do they announce.
I think a lot more now because now we have the proof that this thing is selling well. But for a while it was, how is this thing doing? We don't see it anywhere. Sony giving up on it. But now we have these numbers. We know that this is something that's selling well that people clearly want, that Sony's going to continue to support. So I think, well, PSX, we really didn't see much for PSVR except for whatever Star Blood, typical fucking VR game number 35. I think we are going to see more things at E3. They're going to show how they're expanding on it, different ways they can expand on it. You have to remember another big VR game, Farpoint's also coming out.
Yes.
And Farpoint's going to launch, mark the launch of the VR aim controller.
Essentially, the gun I got was SOCOM 4.
Yeah.
Remember that thing?
A piece of plastic, not even a light gun is giving it too much credit.
Well, this doesn't actually, so I know that one you had to actually put a move inside of it, right?
Yeah.
This one, it is a move controller.
Okay.
Just in the fashion to
maybe
look
it'll
like
track better.
The gun from Link's crossbow training.
But it also still very much looks like that gun that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that thing was a piece of shit.
While we're talking about that, people seem to like Farpoint. I think that's going to be like where Resident Evil 7 was a big step. I think that's going to be another, if all goes well, I think it's going to be another big step.
Is that game only VR?
That is only VR, yeah.
Okay. I was curious because I was just thinking man, Resident Evil 7 was probably just because of the style of game it was really able to pull off being both well. I wonder if that's a thing that more studios are going to look at trying to do.
Well, I think the way to do it, and Resident Evil did this, was give the player a lot of movement options. Let them set the turning radius, let them set how that feels, because the biggest hump for a lot of people still is, fuck, I get motion sick from this. So give them settings to be able to customize how that feels and find something they're comfortable with.
Yeah. Next up, Minecraft hit the news today. They tweeted out two interesting numbers. 122 million copies sold now. That's
fucking crazy.
That's up from 106 that we talked about sometime.
They should have turned that thing into a console. They would have finally beaten the PS2.
And 55 million people play every single month.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's not surprising. Just we watch all those Minecon cringe compilations because obviously us up here on our high horses have never done anything cringy in our lives.
No, not at all.
But you just see the sheer numbers of people who go to that, and the numbers of people who are putting out Minecraft videos, the numbers of kids who just ingest these Minecraft videos every day. Like, Minecraft came,
and it's
not going anywhere, I think, for this foreseeable future. And, we talked about the concepts of a potential Minecraft 2. I don't think there ever needs to be a Minecraft 2. I think this is going to be like WoW, where it can just sustain, and it's going to continue to sustain.
And don't scoff at this immediately, but it is launching on another platform now too with the Switch.
Oh yeah, so I forgot.
It was very hard to hold that scoff back.
Yeah, I know because it's like
I actually forgot that was coming.
Yeah, but I mean it is, and there's actually two. The story mode Telltale game is also coming out on it.
You know why Minecraft is like this? Just it wasn't even planned this way, but just the luck of it is that there are new humans infinity, and Minecraft is just there to be that
thing. And Minecraft
thing.
is such a simple concept, whereas like when I first started playing video games, you had the concept, or when I was playing on Super Nintendo, you took Mario and you moved him from the left to the right, and you jumped on enemies and you jumped to platforms. That was easy for me to understand. Now you have something that's infinitely more easy than that to understand, which is the concept of Lego, but not even physical Lego, digital Lego. And that's easy for kids to grasp. And I think that's why it is such a great tool for like, not only is it a great learning tool, I think it's a great, kids first game because it's teaching you concept and slowly you go from just building things to more advanced concepts like crafting and stuff of that nature.
Eventually building computers.
Exactly. Minecraft, say what you will about it, and look at all the cringe, but Minecraft is successful and it's a great learning tool. And I'm glad that this seems to be a lot of kids' first video games rather than, hey, I fucking shot someone in the face in Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather it be this and them getting something out of this.
I'm curious to see like research studies about, like, there are schools that I'm not sure about the specifics, but they somehow incorporate this game into like there's a whole thing about it in the classroom.
I'm sure that goes well.
Well, I'm curious to see like studies and results of like how maybe those kids.
Yeah, I can tell you how that goes. The teacher comes in and is like, "Fucking Jimmy built a dick again."
It could be that. I mean, but you never know. I mean, it could be something that everybody learns different.
Yeah.
So, and you're laughing at it, but like
no. As someone who has an IEP, that is true.
Let's move on to our third story, which is the one I forgot. That you know what? I didn't forget. I thought of this one all by myself. I will give Tom no credit for bringing this to my attention.
Oh, fuck you.
Twitch is going to start selling games digitally. Twitch, yeah, not their own games. They're going to sell games. So this is the story. So it's digital games and DLC via their website. This starting this spring. And it's going to be what the streamers are playing. So if the streamers are playing a game, the person watching the stream can then buy a digital code for whatever system I guess they want to play it on.
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
Via Twitch. And the way they're breaking it down is 70% goes to the publisher, which is kind of the standard set by Microsoft years ago. And then 25% is going to Twitch, and then 5% is going to that streamer.
That sounds like a great deal.
That seems fair for like not doing anything more than playing a video game.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
I think, and to be fair, there's multiple other ways to make money on Twitch too. So like
you can show a little flesh.
Yeah. But I think this makes sense. I think this is where this was kind of heading all along, and it makes sense for publishers to finally take advantage of the Twitch streamer and using the Twitch streamer. This is gonna sound gross. Using the Twitch streamer as an advertiser.
I mean, they've always been that, though.
In the same way that publishers can claim a YouTube video to make money off that, now essentially they can partner with Twitch streamers to make money off of that because they are essentially advertising their game.
It's kind of sick how the Twitch streamer and the YouTuber totally got rid of the middleman of like these big companies paying for people to see their ads, where it's just like these big companies own these people and their content, kind of. If you think about it,
it depends on how much. It depends on how much the streamer is willing to let them do that. Of course, I think they.
Well, to me, it sounds like you either sign on for this or you don't get anything.
I think for a long time they did try to control it, where you had the PewDiePie story of they were getting the game early and then given a shit ton of guidelines of the positive things they can say about the game.
Warner Brothers was guilty. This was Shadow.
But it wasn't just Warner Brothers. Publishers,
but they were the ones that were caught
for years. Yeah,
Warner Brothers is the one that was caught after.
And then the negative things. Even it came out that Machinima was doing it with Microsoft games. Here's what you're allowed to say. Here's what you're not allowed to say. I think they realized it was such a messy gray area that they finally just decided fuck it and said, hey, on Twitch, if you're showing your game at all, we will use that to advertise to sell a game, and you can make some money from that. Doesn't matter what you're saying about it, because I think they realize that it's such a gray, kind of messy area to mess around in.
I think it's like one of the better options. I feel like almost because with this way of doing it, because most of the people watching those games either one, don't plan on buying it anyway, or if they do buy it, why not? And if you really like the person you're watching, and a lot of people do, they get attached to people who they watch stream and stuff, they want to support them in any way. It's like, oh, I want to buy this game, I'll buy it through Twitch, so at least, Johnny 420 Blaze It Up gets some of the profit there.
And then when
you forgot the 69.
Then when Johnny 420 Blazed It Up, fucking Beard Games McGinnis, look at my tits, decides, hey, I'm gonna have a community Battlefield 1 stream. Whoever's watching it says, I don't have the game, but here's the link to buy it right here. I can get in on the stream and play with fucking Johnny Blaze McTitty Beard.
Yeah. I actually don't think it's the worst.
That is horrifying.
I think it is clever for Twitch to get in on this, to go right I mean, just selling keys essentially.
It makes sense. I'm surprised they're only doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how it ends up working out when it goes live in spring, I guess, is when it's going up. Also, someone pointed out that the most interesting thing is the publishers and developers who have their own Twitch channels, which means, so I guess if they're streaming their own game,
what do they get? Like
you would, I guess, then it effectively takes 75% of the cut.
And then it goes back to them.
Well, that's
then the studio divides that by 0, and then the studio folds in on itself,
much like a dying star.
I'm not sure how that would work. Presumably, it just wouldn't affect them at all.
Yeah,
for being realistic.
Well, no, they'd probably still get that 5%.
Oh yeah,
I mean nothing much,
maybe?
but
I don't know.
Yeah, if you're technically the streamer, it would fall.
Brave New World. It's like when
I
don't know if
Nintendo would just pocket that 5%. I feel like
I don't know if it's that hard to wrap your head around.
It's not.
Like if Bungie's like when, streaming Destiny and someone goes like, "Fuck it, I'll buy Destiny."
It's like when Sacagawea took those 2 fellas to the west. Brave New World.
Let's move on to our final 2 stories. No Switch Virtual Console day 1. They announced this last week. It was kind of expected because they hadn't talked about it at all. It was getting so close to launch that you kind of knew it wasn't coming.
I think you have to assume that the reason behind this is that they're working out how do we get people's Wii U Virtual Console libraries and DS Virtual Console libraries over to this thing.
I think you're fucking high if you think that's what they're worried about. I don't think they're...
I think that,
they're not going to give those people that stuff.
Well, no, you have to imagine that was the promise behind the Nintendo account system. When you made when they enacted that and you made your Nintendo account, that was the promise that your games are just going to transfer to the next system.
Now to back
going forward, maybe.
Yeah, going forward, a little bit. When they announced that like a year ago.
So I'm just sorry. I just want to say, are those things included stuff you purchased before that?
Yeah. Not on a Wii U or 3DS. We're not talking like a Wii.
No, yeah. Okay.
Now, to back Tom up a little bit slightly on this is the fact that you are able to, when you link your Nintendo accounts across, when you have a 3DS or a Wii U, say you have like $20 in credit for some reason sitting on your Nintendo account, when you link it up on your Switch, that $20 will transfer over. So there is something they're talking with, so they have that working somehow with Nintendo. Now, granted, I think from the Wii to Wii U there was a discount.
It was
on virtual console stuff.
It was like 99 cents or $1 if you already bought it.
It would drop down significantly. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again rather than...
I don't know. I think that would burn too many people. I think they're looking at the way Sony handled it, which was...
Hey, not having it at all.
Well, no. But I mean, if you look at like, hey, Journey was on PS3, now it's on PS4. You get your free copy of it.
Yeah.
I think they're looking at that, and I think they're looking at a lot at what Sony did for the Switch, and I think they're looking at the goodwill that they garnered, and I think Nintendo knows they can't pull another. You still have to buy your game at discount because that scorned a lot of people. So I think the whole premise with the Nintendo account system is that your games will just transfer, and hopefully. I can only hope and I can only assume that we'll see that's what happens when the Virtual Console launches, where say I have a Switch by that point, by the time the Virtual Console comes out, and suddenly I have Earthbound and Super Metroid and Mario World just on my Switch ready to go. That's the dream, ideally.
I still feel like this should have been this is just another showing of why this console is being it feels rushed. It feels like...
I feel like we don't know enough about it, and the thing's out in like a week.
Yeah, it's only coming out because they promised their investors almost 2 years ago at this point now that they were going to have this out by this end of this fiscal year, and I think they need to hit that. Otherwise, I think if that wasn't something they made, I think this would easily be coming out later in the year. Luckily for me, the Virtual Console is not my main reason for wanting this thing. It wasn't one of my main reasons. And also,
it's a driving factor for me.
I don't have the Wii U and 3DS Virtual Console purchases, so any way they carry over that stuff, like, yeah, I agree. Like,
I've got a bunch.
Yeah, I know.
I've got a ton.
So, like, for me, the way they carry it over is interesting. Like, I'm hoping that it's a like you just get them, but also I wouldn't be surprised if they do like $1 charge or something.
Well, while we're talking about Virtual Console, this needs to be Virtual Console on Wii U. There were some gems in there, but by all accounts, it was a fucking disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you compare it to the Wii, which had so many games available. It really was the best, at the time, Nintendo legacy console. Wii U should have captured that, should have just brought it all over, but you didn't. it had a paltry selection of some very good games, but still paltry selection.
Like
and
a
then
chicken selection?
By the end of that thing, you had like maybe, 3, 4 N64 games where there were several available on the Wii. Like, they need to iron that shit out and have that thing launch with several like just retro legacy games ready to go at the gate.
You'd think an amazing selling factor of this thing would have been the most complete virtual library.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that weeks ago. Where like, if they come out over the next few weeks and be like, Virtual Console is going to be fucking huge and filled out day one, that would have been a driving factor.
There would have been games at
it.
launch to play. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know.
Like I said, I think
this thing.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a bad choice to wait for so long to not bring it up. A part of me thinks that maybe they were hoping they would have something ready to go. But
a part of me thinks that Nintendo knows that its customers don't give a fuck, and if it's not finished, then it's not finished, and people are still going to buy it. And they're just like, I'm going to wait because Nintendo told me I got to wait.
There seems to be a lot of positivity around the Switch. A lot more than was around the Wii U. When you're comparing at the same time. I think people are a lot more excited about this. I don't
know why.
Even the non-gamer who I've spoken to seems to be a lot more excited about this because I've talked to a lot of people at work.
It doesn't have the Wii name.
It doesn't have the Wii name, but I think they're ready. Like, they see this, whereas I don't think anyone outside the gaming kind of like circle saw the Wii U as the next Nintendo system. I think a lot of people were confused about that thing, obviously. I think a lot of people in the general public now are aware that this is the next Nintendo system, and that has a lot of people, like even my sisters who I've talked to who do not play video games, excited about this thing because they know Nintendo and they know, new Nintendo system. It has them interested, and I feel like it has people a lot more interested than it did in the Wii U. Yeah. Like I said, I'm very happy to see the positivity around this thing, and I hope it can live up to the positive will it's gained so far.
Yeah. My thing, really quick, is like when some of those big DS name games start coming over and they start having their Switch game, and then they kind of just get to the point where like those games are great, and then they're really not doing much on the 3DS, like the Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for insane, like those are when you think of mobile games, there are games that are on the DS, those mobile games, and then there are iPhone games.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a mobile game that has all of that power. And that's the shit that gets me excited, not like you can play these full console games on a worse device. And that's the way I wanted to see the Switch, but I don't like it going back. I don't like it going that way. I like it going up.
Yeah.
In terms of the mobile DS game going up in quality instead of console games going down in quality.
Well, I think you're going to see a mix. There was one game I was reading about today that's confirmed for Switch that you can't play in TV mode. You can only play it in handheld mode.
That's interesting because of like touchscreen.
Yeah,
it's a
so
touchscreen
I think
game,
you are going to see.
That was announced today.
I think you're going to see a really cool mix of games on the Switch.
What was the general reaction to that?
People seemed okay with it because I think a lot of people, like, for as many people see the Switch as a console, there are the same amount of people see a Switch as the handheld.
Yeah,
like because new toy coming out this Friday. I'm very excited. Been watching a lot of stuff on it. Also going on NeoGAF, and what I'm seeing is a lot of people are having that debate with each other. It's like they're not being violent towards each other, but it's like
they could be if they were in the same room.
Yeah, essentially,
I'm fully convinced.
Yeah, where it's like this thing is never getting undocked. I am fucking sliding that thing in day one, getting a pro controller, never fucking touching it after that.
That's and there's other
people, and there's other people that are like, it's only handheld. I travel a lot. It's only going to be used on airplanes and everything.
And I bet you both of those people are going to end up breaking that by
exactly.
Week.
But it's just people's mindsets going into it, where some people want it only as their home console. And the first week I have it, I guarantee you, you're
going to be plopping that thing in and out.
Up and down. Like
Joe's going to come in and be like, I lost my Joy-Con.
I lost the left one.
No, I got to go spend $79.99 on another pair of two, and I'll have an extra one.
We should steal one of Joe's Joy-Cons, and then
I'm going to hide those things all around his house.
But when he's not realizing, and like stand outside his window when he's playing a game, just move the other one.
So the other thing, they kind of wanted to cushion the news a little bit because they announced that 2 of the previous March spring games are now going to be launch titles, and that's Shovel Knight Treasure Trove and the Spectre and Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment. Treasure Trove is the game and all the DLC before this. Spectre of Torment's the standalone DLC, and then also where is the name of this game? Fast RMX,
Isn't Little Inferno coming out too, or something?
Well, I was actually about to go through all the launch games, but those were the two that were announced as kind of like in this kind of same statement of, hey, these are now launch titles, which actually bumped up the launch lineup to 12 games, which, by the way, is a lot better than 5.
Yeah,
like 12 is a fine number to
be
launch
fair,
with. And
Shovel Knight is a very good video game.
Yeah.
But Shovel Knight is also something you can play on Wii U.
Yeah,
3DS,
you can play on everything
Xbox
else,
One, PS4.
I just don't think it's something to brag about your launch game.
No,
I know you all know this. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just want to state
we agree with you.
Right now, this is the full lineup, by the way, for the US. 1-2 Switch, Just Dance 2017, Zelda, Skylanders, Super Bomberman R, I Am Setsuna, Little Inferno, Human Resources Machine, World of Goo,
World of Girls,
World of Goo, Snipper Clips, Shovel Knight. Both of those, I mean, they're really just one game. And then Fast RMX.
I gotta be honest, Snipper Clips actually looks really cool from what I've seen.
Next week when we do our Monday stream, we're gonna have the Switch. There is a free demo for Snipper Clips.
Okay, yeah, we should definitely check that out.
Yeah. So, and also tomorrow, the reason I'm not talking about it is because by the time this airs, it'll all be out. Nintendo is doing another direct, but it's all about the indie games coming to the system.
Okay.
So,
The Nindies.
yeah, Nindies.
I hope we get Meme Run.
Meme Run. What is that? Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Oh God, yes.
That thing cost $5, and it was on the Wii U Virtual Console Marketplace for a year.
Oh,
It was
boy.
an endless runner where you ran as Trollface Man, and you had to jump over obstacles, all while Call of Duty kids would shout "Oh" at you, and you would get the Call of Duty blips on the screen, and then memes would play on the screen while you were running.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
That thing made it onto the Virtual Console, much in the same way that Life of Black Tiger has made it onto PS4.
PS4. All right, so before we jump into our final news story, just so the listeners know what to expect next week.
Yes.
Going to be a lot of Switch talk, going to be a lot of Horizon talk. So if you're excited about it, you're going to have a good fucking week, I feel like. If you're a fucking Xbox owner, you probably stopped listening to the show a long time ago, the way we shit on that thing sometimes. But yeah, so next week, a lot of Horizon. I feel like that's going to end up taking up most of the show.
Probably, yeah.
Are those two things. So
Horizon, Switch and Dawn.
I just wanted to ask you, Joe, you are going into the store and picking this thing up, right?
Yes.
With your hands.
You have the Switch pre-ordered, obviously, and you have Zelda pre-ordered, and that's what you plan on walking out of the store with. What are you actually going to walk out of the store with?
No, just those two.
What else are you buying, Joe?
You think you might be tempted to buy a
what other game are you buying?
Controller or buy a
You're buying something else.
A Bomberman.
I'm telling you now because I know it's going to happen.
Or Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, well yeah.
You're definitely going to buy another game.
But none of the card games, none of the physical games. When I do the update, I plan on buying Fast RMX and possibly Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight's a very good game. Play that on any platform.
Those might be the two that I get. But
you're buying Zelda digitally?
No, Zelda. I'm just getting the card.
Yeah, okay.
Just because I want to plug it in. I think I'm basically probably going to do Switch as a digital console.
Yeah.
But just because I don't plan on buying a micro SD card at first, and Zelda's the biggest game, and there's no install on it. I'm just going to keep the card in there all the time.
Okay.
And then after that, from now on, go digital with it because I just at a certain point I will buy upgradable memory, so I'll have that fine. And then also, I don't want to be taking the cards out.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Originally I was like, oh yeah, I'll buy the cases, and then when I read my Facebook memories about the Vita, and I put on Facebook, I was like, I really wish I went digital with this thing. I'm like, I'm not making that mistake again. Like Vita should have been all digital from day one.
I saw it coming fucking 5 years ago.
No, you didn't, Charlie.
Yes, I did. The first thing I did was buy them all digitally.
He bought all his PS Vita stuff digitally.
I thought you meant Vita Caution.
Oh God, no! I was the first one. Me and Joe were the first kids there. Yeah. The second person, the only other person who came in was a kid with his parents. So yes, I own that. I own the fuck out of that.
We were so excited for
that. But I
thing.
also own that I was 100% digital throughout the life of that thing. Was.
So I do give him credit there because he was 100%. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm going digital with it.
When I buy a Switch, I'm buying a fucking 200 gig SD card with that, and that's a digital console.
They're micro SDs, right?
Micro SD, yeah.
Let's move on to our final news story of the week, and over the weekend, Target accidentally leaked that Middle-earth Shadow of War
was real. Mordor.
I don't like that name. I'm going to be honest with you.
That sounds very generic. Like at the last minute, they were like, fuck, we have to give this thing a name. Video game names. Shadow of, because that's our like Arkham name. So we have to keep that because that's the brand name. No. Middle-earth Shadow of. What about War?
Yeah.
When I think of AAA video games, I think of War.
It's not the best. But this morning, Warner Brothers was basically, fuck you, you ruined our surprise. Here's your trailer, goddammit. And they released like a 3-minute cinematic trailer.
Nice. It was a nice CG trailer.
Yeah. Sets up the story. It's kind of what was rumored that Talion and
Celebrimbor. Kellogg's Boobery.
Are working to forge a new ring that's as powerful as Sauron's, and that's kind of the setup to the story.
That's the cliffhanger at the end of Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, okay.
Listen, I couldn't give a fuck about this game.
At the same time, like, for the bit I know about, like, Tolkien lore is that this is so fucking off-kilter and non-canon that I think people have just forgiven it at this point and we're just like, fucking go nuts, have fun. Which I think is kind of cool that they're just going, kind of like Telltale did with Batman, that they're just going in their own crazy direction with Lord of the Rings. Like, there is a Sauron boss fight in one of the DLCs for the first game.
Oh, really?
Which is just that's not what Lord of the Rings is, but it's cool that they're just fucking having fun with it and going crazy.
Before we get into some more, I just want to run out the other little details real quick.
Yeah.
Nemesis system is, of course, returning. You're getting new abilities. It's coming August 22nd to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it is going to be a Play Anywhere title between Xbox One and your PC, and we'll have an update when Scorpio comes out.
So presumably it's going to have a PS4 Pro update.
It will definitely have PS4 Pro support probably day one. Here's my thing with this game. So right now, the only way you get to Play Anywhere is if you buy either the Silver Edition, the Gold Edition, or the actual big Collector's Edition. So if you buy right now, if you went to go pre-order the base standard game, you do not get the Play Anywhere.
So I'm just like, it's a download that you need to unlock this thing?
They're using Play Anywhere as
holding it hostage
as a special edition pre-order incentive.
That is fucking insane.
Yes.
Now also listen to that sentence where I said there's the regular edition, there's the Silver Edition, the Gold, and then there's the big Collector's Edition.
But to be honest, we've talked about this to death. Is this surprising to anyone?
No, but you know what? Warner Brothers
is disgusting.
They did it with Arkham Knight too, and they did it in the form of their shitty DLC, like their shitty 45-minute long DLC where they advertise it as brand new stories, and you see it with Shadow of War too, where it's like brand new story DLC day one, only if you get the Gold Edition, then you'll promise more story packs, and it's like,
when are we going to get to the point where this shit stops and the price of games goes to fucking $79.99?
That's what I've been saying.
Like, would you guys really care? If all this fucking nonsense ended and it's just like, here's your game, $80.
I don't think we would care, but I think general, and we talked about
sales
this
would
so
drop.
much. Yeah. General consumer would be like, $80 for Madden. Flip the table, fuck that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as a general consumer, we understand. As a hardcore consumer, we understand inflation. We understand games cost so much more money to make that these additions, these tiers of game are a fucking necessity.
Yeah.
General average Joe right here, consumer doesn't get that. Joe doesn't, in his little head, he can't grasp that concept.
If it doesn't say $59.99, I ain't buying it.
Mine. But if we're going back to Mordor, because I know we veered off a little bit there, I like that first game a lot, not for its story, but I liked it for its Nemesis system, the fun kind of expansion of the Arkham-style combat, and just putting on a podcast, running around Mordor, getting collectibles, and just filling out the checklist. I had a blast with that game just doing that. I'm a little disappointed as all signs seem to indicate that you're still stuck in Mordor, which, like, of all the locations in Middle-earth, like, probably one of the least interesting. Like, what?
How great would this game be if you load up the game, you hit start, and it is the same map from the first game, the same exact map. They didn't even touch anything.
You could only hope. I mean, like, that was only
that would be so awesome.
That was only a segment of Mordor. Maybe because by this point, Mordor is closer to the blasted hellscape it was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see some of the areas of Mordor, like the cave where the spider was, and the towers. Maybe
you see that stuff in the trailer.
Yeah,
so
maybe we'll see more of that area. But at the same time, it's like I was really hoping the second game would finally be the open world Middle-earth game, which is what I've been waiting for such a long time.
And this goes back to the name that you were talking about when we first talked about. They took they kept 2 words too long on the franchise name. It should have been Middle-earth as your core, not Shadow of.
I think they were looking for Batman Middle Earth Shadow of.
Yeah, Batman Arkham. Yeah. It just
1 word, 2 syllables.
One, I played a little bit of the first game. I did not care for it.
Me neither.
I think it got a lot more praise than it probably would have gotten in 2015.
It's a neat game.
Or in 2013. And I only say that because I think 2014 overall wasn't the greatest year.
No, it wasn't.
For games to be coming out.
We had the horrendously overlooked Bayonetta 2, but
I'm talking about like on PS4 and Xbox One.
Consoles that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, consoles that were relevant in 2014. But I could see people passing over, especially this. I mean, granted, it's coming out in August, but like,
I like this though.
It's supposed to be this year is already stacked. March is going to be even more, and then based on just everything that's supposed to be coming out in the fall, I find it hard to even pretend to be even excited for this game, and then even seeing it like do well.
I don't know if it's something I'd buy day one because a lot of my joy from Mordor didn't come from
you got it later, right?
Well, yeah, I did end up buying later, and
I got it pretty close to launch,
and I ended up enjoying the hell out of it. The second one isn't something I'd buy at launch, but if something, say I'm just looking for something to play, it's a little slow, maybe I'd pick it up or on sale. However, I do really like this trend of announcement, release, fucking coming, not being beaten over the head with hype for it. Here it is, coming out in a few months, have fun. And
I think everybody knows how fucking terrible that can be.
It seems to be that like more and more we're getting, since Fallout 4, we're getting more and more games that are doing this, and I fucking love it.
Now, Grant, remember,
this is a great trend.
Warner Brothers also did this with Arkham Knight, and then they delayed it like 3 weeks later.
That's true.
So,
to be fair, this thing has been cooking since 2014.
Yeah, I know, but
you know what I mean. Probably even a little before then too.
It could still happen though, where they could be like, "Ha ha ha, joke's on you, fucking delay this shit." Yeah,
the Joker will be in this game too.
Yeah, he's gonna pop up. He's
Celebrimbor.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting a gameplay reveal March 8th, which was rumored that March 8th was going to be the day we saw the new Batman game. That rumor just never fucking dies. That Batman game, but apparently now I'm
fine.
It was going to be this.
I've had enough Batman for a little bit.
Did you give me more rumor about the Batman game?
That seemed very unverified, and then Jason Schreier came in and was like, "I don't know about this."
Yeah, because like everything he was reporting was Damian Wayne. Yeah, and this one was like, "Oh, it's a sequel to Origins and the Joker." I'm like, this just sounds bad.
We'll see. I presumably we'll find out what that Batman game is before this year's over. Yeah. So, but you know what? I'm a little tired of Batman. I love Batman, but like Arkham Knight was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. Let's give that a break. Give me some more Lord of the Rings stuff. That's cool. But however, it bears repeating. I'm really disappointed that we're stuck in Mordor again. Yeah. I want open world Middle Earth so bad. Let me run around let me run around the Shire as Celebrimbor and fucking dehead orcs and hobbits and make them part of my army. Let me go up the Hobbit Chain of Command and kill the bosses. And let me see that Nemesis system. But in all actuality, Middle Earth is so big and varied. You have Gondor, you have the Mines of Moria, Mirkwood.
Into the
mines, the Mirkwood. So many cool fucking locales for a video game. Yet the closest we've gotten to that fully realized open world Middle Earth is Lego Lord of the Rings.
Man, now I can watch Lord of the Rings.
I've been watching
it. Bastard.
They're good.
It's been taking you 3 months, but you've been watching them.
Maybe 2 months from now, I'll finally finish it. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing I'm disappointed about is the fact that if I heard that it was going to be more of Middle Earth, I'd probably be way more interested in it. But the fact that it is supposedly just more
Mordor,
it's Mordor.
Yeah, that just makes my interest just drop.
Yeah,
I don't because it was already like a dark gray type of game, and I'm speaking from the early hours. I don't know if it changes.
No, you get to the second part and then there's some green parts and then it's still that world map blobs together because it's just so uninteresting.
But like if it's supposed to be closer to where the movies take place, that means Mordor is just even darker and more grayer.
Maybe we'll get some fiery bits. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Maybe we can climb Sauron's tower and tickle his fiery eyeball with your Celebrimbor powers.
The last thing I want to say is I think that Play Anywhere stuff, if it doesn't go to the regular edition, is fucking dirty as shit.
It's very dirty.
I concur. This is the first game we've had confirmed to get Scorpio support, so that's cool.
I wonder what that means.
We'll find out what that means at E3, probably.
Means an update.
Man, that thing's close.
Probably similar to what it means for PS4 Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Runs in
I hope not.
1800p checkerboard.
Oh, man.
I was reading something online, and it was a theory that the Scorpio could run an equivalent to a 1070 card, basically.
I was actually doing research the other day, and I was just looking at pure numbers like flops, like whatever the fuck that means to the average person, but looking into like what does it take to run a game at 4K 60, because that's what I'm interested in. That's why the back of my mind, these boxes, these half steps don't really cut it for me.
Scorpio won't be running anything.
That was the whole purpose of this research.
Yeah.
To figure out like what does it really need to do that, and it's actually just not all about the graphics. It's about the graphics, in terms of pure physical numbers, but there are other aspects like really high quality components, like really, really, really small silicon, and just like the right type of RAM, the right type of CPU. And, as specialized as these things are, they're not that specialized, which is kind of weird, but I'm not into that whole thing.
One of the reasons it seems that consoles have a hard time, from my research, running anything at 60, it has more to do with not necessarily the power capabilities of a console. It has more to do with the bottlenecking of a console.
Well, that's exactly what I just described. Yeah.
Like just the way it's bottlenecked makes doing 60 FPS, like while maintaining high resolutions and extra detail very difficult.
It's like right around the corner too, which sucks. It's like, just wait another year at the least, and it's like that's it. That's the benchmark. That's what I want. When consoles are knocking 4K 60, that is when I would love to purchase one of those boxes.
Like I just pre-ordered Nier Automata, and I was doing some more research on what that's going to have for PS4 Pro. On standard PS4, Nier Automata runs at 900p, unstable 60 FPS. On Pro, it doesn't run at a 4K. It runs at 1080p with a stable 60 frames per second. Like, that should tell you kind of where these boxes are power-wise. And who knows? I mean, I think the rumors of it being a 1070 card are interesting. You're still going to have that bottleneck issue. So I think
it's just going to be
the best you're going to see is maybe if you get a few more games are going to run at are going to run out of a native 2160 than PS4 Pro does.
I know we've talked about this before. There's no fucking way that thing comes out at anything above 400, right?
No, today I was thinking like 499.
But even that, like...
Exactly. We'll have this conversation.
I know we're going to have this conversation later because, like, as soon as that price is announced, Sony's going to be fucking PS4 $50 immediately drop. Like,
we'll get there.
I know we're going to have a lot of discussion probably over the next few months as more rumors and leaks about Scorpio probably come out, and
I'm probably going to buy one.
Yeah, especially around E3. I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about it, and the guy goes like, "Yeah, that like by the power and everything, like maybe like a $600 or $700 machine." And
are you high?
The guy in another guy on the show is like, if that thing is anything above $400, it's automatically a failure compared to anything that Sony's going to do. That price is just. It doesn't work in like anything above 400 just doesn't fit in this market.
You also have to remember that the tech that's going into this thing was more expensive a year ago than it is today to mass produce.
I don't know.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry.
E3 is right around the corner.
Yes,
that's true. Close, almost about 4 months. 3 months.
Well,
no,
3 months. We're coming up on 3 months.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
But let's wrap this episode up. Next week we'll be here with episode 100. We will be talking about Switch. We got Horizon and whatever else. Whoever decides to break news this week, too bad. We're talking about the Switch. Horizon, get the fuck out of here. Anyways, thank you for listening. Like I said, contact us on Twitter at DMasterCast. You can always send us emails, podcastdmaster@gmail.com. Usually every Monday. We did not do it this Monday. Got all our timing fucked up. But we usually stream at twitch.tv/podcastdemastered. And you can always find the full audio version of us also on YouTube at youtube.com/podcastdemastered show. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.
Bye.